It was a quiet Saturday evening when my phone buzzed with a call from my daughter, Lily. She was supposed to be at my wife's parents' house for the weekend, enjoying quality time with her grandmother. But the trembling voice on the other end of the line sent chills down my spine. "Daddy, please come here. He's making bad to Mum. She's crying," Lily said, her voice laced with fear and confusion. I froze, trying to process what I had just heard. "Who is he, sweetheart? Where are you?" Her response struck me like a bolt of lightning. "Mum's new friend," she said innocently. My heart began to race. My wife, who had sworn her undying love to me, was not only with another man but had dragged our daughter into the chaos. Rage bubbled inside me, but I had to stay calm. For Lily. "Lily, stay put. Daddy's coming to get you," I assured her, grabbing my keys and rushing out the door. As I sped towards the location Lily had shared, my mind raced with thoughts. What kind of man had my wife brought into her life? How could she expose our daughter to something so vile? And why had she betrayed me like this? When I finally arrived, nothing could have prepared me for the scene I was about to witness. Just a week ago, my wife, Emily, had insisted on taking Lily to her parents' house for a few days. "It'll be good for her to spend time with her grandparents," she had said, her tone unusually sweet and convincing. At first, I didn't think much of it. Emily often took Lily to visit her parents, especially when things got tense between us. Lately, our marriage had been on shaky ground, though I couldn't quite put my finger on why. She had been distant, her phone always locked, and there were nights when she claimed to be working late, but came home smelling like someone else's cologne. Still, I wanted to believe her. After all, we had built a life together, a home, a family. So when she suggested the trip, I reluctantly agreed. The plan was simple. Emily would stay with her parents for the weekend, and I would use the time to catch up on work. But as the hours turned into days, something about her behavior felt off. She barely called, and when I tried reaching out to Lily, the calls went unanswered. Then came the call from Lily, the one that shattered every illusion I had about my marriage. As I sped towards the address Lily had given me, it hit me like a freight train. Emily wasn't at her parents' house. She had used them as an excuse, knowing I wouldn't question it. But why? When I arrived, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The location wasn't her parents' cozy home. It was a shabby apartment complex on the outskirts of town. My stomach churned as I realized what this meant. Emily hadn't been visiting her parents at all. She had been with her lover. I parked my car and stormed up to the apartment door Lily had described. My hands trembled as I knocked, and the door creaked open slightly. What I saw next made my blood run cold. The door opened just enough for me to see inside. The small, dimly lit apartment was in complete disarray. Furniture was overturned, a glass lay shattered on the floor, and faint sobbing came from the next room. "Daddy!" Lily's voice broke through the tension as she ran toward me, tears streaming down her face. I scooped her into my arms, holding her close as her tiny body shook. "It's okay, sweetheart. Daddy's here," I whispered, though my own heart was pounding with rage and dread. I set Lily down and followed the sound of the sobbing. There, in the bedroom, I found Emily, sprawled on the floor. Her face was pale, her lip split, and bruises were already forming on her arms. She clutched her stomach, wincing in pain. "Emily!" I shouted, rushing to her side. "What happened? Who did this to you?" But before she could respond, a shadow emerged from the corner of the room. A tall man with a smug expression leaned against the wall, arms crossed as if he had no care in the world. "She had it coming," he sneered, his voice dripping with arrogance. "Kept nagging me about how she was going to tell you everything, so I shut her up." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the man Emily had chosen over me. This was the person she had endangered our daughter for. My fists clenched as I stepped toward him, my vision blurred with fury. "You laid a hand on her in front of my daughter?" I growled, my voice low and menacing. He laughed, unfazed. "Your daughter? You might want to rethink that, buddy." The implication hit me like a ton of bricks. My stomach churned as his words sank in. But before I could process the meaning behind them, Emily groaned, her voice barely a whisper. "Please, stop," she muttered, looking up at me with tear-filled eyes. "It's not his fault, it's mine." Her words only added fuel to the fire. "Yours? Emily, you brought our daughter here. You lied to me, betrayed me, and now you're protecting him." Tears streamed down her face as she shook her head. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I was going to end it, but he wouldn't let me. He threatened me." Her voice trailed off as she clutched her stomach again, and I realized she needed medical attention immediately. But as I turned to leave with Emily and Lily, the man blocked my path. "You're not taking her anywhere," he said, his tone daring me to challenge him. It was in that moment I made a vow. This man would pay for everything he had done. For hurting Emily, for traumatizing Lily, and for shattering the life I thought I had. As Emily struggled to sit up, her trembling hands reaching for mine, I could see the pain etched into her face. Her voice was weak, barely audible, but I needed answers. My heart sank as I realized Lily had been a witness to this nightmare. "Emily, tell me what happened," I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady for Lily's sake. Emily hesitated, glancing at Lily, who clung to me tightly. Her tears welled up again as she muttered, "I didn't want you to find out like this. I thought I could handle it." "Handle what?" I snapped, my patience wearing thin. "What did he do?" She swallowed hard, her gaze shifting to the man still standing smugly by the wall. "I thought bringing Lily here would make him stop. I thought he would listen if I showed him I wasn't alone." "You brought our daughter into this mess?" I asked, horrified. Emily broke down, her words tumbling out in gasps. "He got violent, started yelling when I said I couldn't do this anymore. He threw things, hit me, and when Lily screamed, I froze, my grip tightening around Lily. "What did he do to her, Emily?" Emily sobbed uncontrollably, unable to speak, but Lily answered in a shaky voice. "He grabbed my arm, Daddy. He yelled at me and said mean things." Mommy tried to stop him, but he pushed her. She fell. I felt my blood boil as Lily's words confirmed my worst fears. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a complete violation of everything I held sacred. Emily had not only exposed herself to danger, but had dragged Lily into it as well. I turned to the man, my anger barely contained. "You put your hands on my wife and my daughter." He shrugged nonchalantly. "She's not much of a wife if you ask me. And the kid, who knows if she's even yours?" The room fell silent as his words hung in the air. My mind raced, connecting dots I hadn't dared to before. Emily's strange behavior, her secrecy, the distance between us, it all started to make sense. I looked back at Emily, my voice trembling. "Is that true? Is Lily even mine?" Emily's eyes widened in shock and shame, but before she could answer, the man interjected. "Guess that's a question for a DNA test, huh?" That was the final straw. My fury erupted as I lunged at him, but Emily grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly firm despite her weakened state. "Don't!" she pleaded. "Don't do this in front of Lily." Taking a deep breath, I turned back to her, my voice cold. "Get up! We're leaving! Now!" Emily's silence spoke louder than any words ever could. I demanded an answer, and she finally broke under the weight of her guilt. "I went to him because I couldn't let it go," she admitted, her voice shaking. "At first, it was just an escape. He made me feel wanted in a way I hadn't felt in years. And his intimacy, it was different. I craved it. Her words cut through me like a knife. I clenched my fists, trying to control the storm of emotions brewing inside me. "So, you threw away your family for lust?" I said, my voice trembling with both anger and disbelief. Emily sobbed, burying her face in her hands. "I never meant for it to go this far. I tried to end it. But he wouldn't let me. He threatened to tell you everything, to take Lily away if I didn't." I stopped her mid-sentence, raising a hand. "Enough! You had a choice, Emily. You chose him. You chose this mess over your family." Her lover, still standing smugly by the wall, laughed mockingly. "Man, don't blame her. It's not her fault she found someone better. You're just not enough for her." That was it. I'd had enough of his arrogance, of her excuses, of the betrayal that had shattered my life. I knew I couldn't let this go. He had to pay for what he'd done to Emily, to Lily, and to me. And Emily! She had to face the consequences of her choices too. As I drove Emily and Lily home, my mind raced with plans. I wasn't going to confront him head-on. That would be too easy. No, I wanted to destroy him systematically, to strip away everything he valued the way he had ripped my family apart. The first thing I did was dig into his life. A few discreet calls and some late-night research revealed everything I needed to know about him. His name was Brad, and he worked as a mid-level manager at a local company. He had a wife, though their relationship was as toxic as it could get, and a reputation for being a smooth talker who often got away with crossing professional lines. Step one of my plan was to expose his dirty laundry. I gathered evidence of his affair with Emily and documented his violent behavior. It wasn't hard to get what I needed: Emily's bruises, Lily's testimony, and a few recorded conversations where Brad boasted about their affair were more than enough. Next, I reached out to his wife. She was initially hesitant to believe me, but the evidence I presented left no room for doubt. Her devastation quickly turned into fury, and she agreed to help me take him down. Together we contacted his employer and provided them with proof of his misconduct, including how he had been using company resources to fund his escapades with Emily. But that wasn't all. I wanted him to feel the sting of betrayal just as I had. Through his wife, I ensured his social circle knew the truth about his double life. His reputation crumbled overnight. Emily, too, wasn't spared. I filed for divorce and made it clear in court that her actions had endangered our daughter. With the evidence I had collected, the judge sided with me, granting me full custody of Lily. As for Brad, he lost his job, his wife, and his standing in the community. The man who had once laughed in my face was now a broken shell, desperate and alone. With everything settled, I packed my things and prepared to leave town with Lily. Emily begged for forgiveness, promising to change, but I couldn't trust her anymore. As I stood at the door, ready to leave, she fell to her knees, sobbing. "Please, don't take Lily away from me. She's all I have left." I looked her in the eyes, my expression cold. "You should have thought about that before you destroyed this family." Without another word, I walked out, taking Lily with me. I had no regrets. Justice had been served, and I had reclaimed my life. Months had passed since I walked away from the ruins of my marriage, taking Lily with me. Life was beginning to settle into a new rhythm. Lily was adapting well, and I had started to rebuild a sense of normalcy. But just when I thought the nightmare was behind me, an unexpected twist threatened to unravel everything again. One afternoon, I received a package at my doorstep. The sender was anonymous, but the handwriting on the label looked eerily familiar. Hesitant, I opened it to find a small stack of photographs, a flash drive, and a note. The message read, "You think it's over?" You've only scratched the surface. Play the drive if you dare." My stomach churned as I inserted the flash drive into my laptop. What I saw sent shivers down my spine. The videos on the drive weren't just evidence of Emily's affair, they revealed a far darker side of Brad's activities. Brad had been involved in exploiting women, coercing them into compromising situations and filming them without their consent. One of the videos included a younger Emily, clearly uncomfortable, while Brad egged her on. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Emily hadn't just been a willing participant in an affair, she had been manipulated and blackmailed into submission by Brad for years. The note had more to say. He has more victims. If you want justice, don't stop now. This revelation complicated everything. While I couldn't forgive Emily for betraying me, I also couldn't ignore the fact that she had been trapped in a cycle of abuse. Brad's fall hadn't been enough. He had left a trail of victims, and it was clear he was still out there, operating in the shadows. Determined to end his reign of terror once and for all, I reached out to Emily. It wasn't easy, but we agreed to work together, not as husband and wife, but as parents and individuals seeking justice. She provided more details about Brad's activities, including the names of other women he had victimized. I contacted Brad's ex-wife, who, though still furious at Emily, agreed to join forces once she saw the extent of Brad's crimes. Together we compiled a comprehensive case and handed it over to law enforcement. When the authorities raided Brad's hideout, they found more evidence than we had anticipated: hard drives, financial records, and a list of names. The media caught wind of the story, and Brad's name was plastered across every headline as one of the most despicable predators in the region. With Brad finally behind bars, life took an unexpected turn. Emily, though still grappling with guilt, found solace in therapy and began to mend her relationship with Lily. I, too, found peace, knowing that Brad could no longer hurt anyone else. But I kept my distance from Emily. Trust was something she would never regain, and my heart had hardened too much to consider reconciliation. I focused on Lily, giving her the stability and love she deserved. One day, as I sat with Lily at the park, she asked, "Daddy, are we going to be okay?" I smiled, pulling her into a hug. "Yes, sweetheart, we're going to be better than okay." As I sat on the park bench with Lily, watching her play with a newfound innocence, a quiet realization settled over me. The pain, the anger, the overwhelming feeling of betrayal, it had all been part of a chapter I could never erase, but one that had come to a close. This life I had built with Emily, the love we had once shared, was nothing but an illusion. I had given everything to someone who couldn't even see the value of the family we had. But through it all, something stronger had emerged: my bond with Lily. She was the only good thing that had come from that wrecked marriage, and now she was all that mattered. My anger had driven me to exact revenge, to take control of the situation and turn my heartbreak into justice. But as I watched her laugh in the sun, I realized that true justice wasn't in making others suffer. It was in moving forward, in reclaiming what had been taken from me. In the end, my vengeance wasn't just about punishing Emily or Brad. It was about finding the strength to move on, to rebuild, and to let go of the toxic ties that had bound me to a past I couldn't change. My revenge had been swift, thorough, and relentless, but as the years passed, it became clear to me that the most powerful thing I had was my freedom. I didn't need to hold on to the bitterness anymore. The love I had for Emily had died long ago, and as much as I wanted to make Brad suffer, the satisfaction of watching him fall from grace had lost its power. I had let the revenge consume me at first, but what mattered now was the future, the life I was building with Lily. Emily had begged for forgiveness, but forgiveness had no place in my heart anymore. I had learned the hard way that some things, some people, were better left in the past. I couldn't change the past, but I could shape the future. And as I looked at Lily, smiling in the distance, I knew I had made the right choice. I had fought for her, for our future, and I had won. Emily and Brad were gone from my life, and in their absence, I had found peace. The past had been painful, but it no longer had power over me. I had taken everything back, piece by piece, and now, as the sun set on this chapter of my life, I knew that whatever came next, I was ready. And so, with a final step forward, I closed the door on my past, leaving behind the pain, the betrayal, and the revenge. I had won. Not because I had destroyed them, but because I had rebuilt myself.
Thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so and press the notification bell. This way, you'll stay updated with more shocking real-life stories.